Hi everybody, and welcome to our fourth lesson on sampling of the normal distribution. Today we're going to be shifting from mainly looking at sampling to the normal distribution, which is pretty cool. So our learning goals for this section are to identify properties of data that are normally distributed. Also, if it's represented by a histogram or a frequency polygon, it should be looking bell-shaped for a normal curve. Then this next bit's really important. So it's really important that you know that approximately 68% of scores will have z-scores between 1 and -1, 95% between -2 and 2, and 99.7% between -3 and 3. And obviously you want to be able to use these measures to make judgments in individual cases. Cool, so what does a normal distribution actually mean? Well, normal distribution actually means that data is spread out evenly or symmetrically. Okay, so you can write that down. Data is spread out evenly or symmetrically, and what that actually means is that the mean, the median, and the mode are equal. Okay, and that's really important for you to understand. Cool. Okay, so let's have a look at our next section. The percentage of scores under a normal curve are this, and you need to learn this. So, in a normal curve, 100% of the scores lie underneath that normal curve. Okay, then you've got the mean. So this x bar here, this x bar, that's the mean. Then within one standard deviation of the mean, that's what this x bar plus s means. That means one standard deviation. 68% of the scores lie. Then within two standard deviations of the mean, 95% of the scores lie. And within three standard deviations of the mean, 99.7% of scores lie in there. Something that's going to help you solve a lot of problems is this curve. So basically, if you are able to remember this curve here highlighted in blue, that's going to really help you heaps. So it's important that you kind of memorize that and you're able to learn these percentages. So just going over it again, the x bar means that's the average, that's where the mean is. Then you have within one standard deviation of the mean 68%, and it's 34% on either side. And you can see how it progresses. Under the curve, we account for 99.7% of scores, though there are 100% of scores under there. Okay, so that's important. Okie dokie, let's have a look at the first question. Okay, so in this first example, it says the heights of a large group of teenagers are normally distributed with a mean of 160 centimeters and a standard deviation of 6 centimeters. So that is kind of really important for you to think about. That's kind of the key to this question. The first question says, what percentage of heights lies between 154 and 166 centimeters? Okay, so what you're going to be doing is you're going to be thinking back to those pictures and probably even draw a picture to help you. Okay, so for question 1, part A, I want to draw a curve to help me solve that problem. So this is question 1, part A. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw myself a normal curve. Just doesn't have to be perfect, but approximate. So in the middle there is the mean. Okay, and the mean I know is 160. it tells me that the standard deviation is 6. So that tells me that up here to the right of it, that line there is 166. Then the next line is 172. The line down here, one to the left, is 154, etc. Okay, you've got gaps of 6 because that's the standard deviation. So the standard deviations are kind of the gaps in the lines. The question is, what percentage of heights lie between 154 and 166? So between 154 and 166, is basically this section here that I'm highlighting in yellow. Okay, and that section there, on either side of those are the 34% markings each, so I know that by definition. So that's 68% in there. Okay, so that's the answer to the first part, I. The second part says, what percentage of heights are more than 168 centimeters? So this one's actually a little tricky because you'll notice it goes up to 166 here. So 168 is going to be in here somewhere, approximately. So we might say that's where 168 is, approximately. So just to make it easier for this question, what I'm actually going to do is just take it from 166. Okay, so you want everything above that. So that is one standard deviation above the mean. So basically I'm going to need to add, so I'm going to say it's approximately equal to, from 166, then to the right of that I have 13.5% plus 2.35% plus 0.15%, and that is approximately equal to 16%. Okay, so sometimes you need to take an estimate if it's not spot on, but you use the approximately equal to symbol. That's really important. Fantastic. Okay, the next question, so this is part B on your one, even though on my one it says part A. The formatting has gone a bit willy-nilly, but that's okay. So part B says, if a random sample contains 4,000 teenagers, how many have a height between 148 and 178, between 154 and 172? Okay, so again, for this question, I'm going to draw a picture. So I'll just stop off question 1 there. And now this is question B, part I. So the first thing I'll need to do is again draw a little curve, and I'll put my mean here in the middle. But the issue is I don't actually know what the mean is. So for part I actually need to work out what the mean is. So I'm going to do that over here. So 148 plus 178 halved, and you'll see that the mean is equal to 163. Okay, so the mean here is 163, and I know that they want me to figure out between 148 and 178. So basically I know then that my standard deviation is 5, and I just did that by figuring out like how many more would I need to get up to 178 or to 148 each time, leaving me with 6 brackets in between, like in the definition. So basically from here, so I know on either side here I've got a bracket worth 34%, and then I've got another bracket on either side of that, and then I'm got another bracket on either side of that. Okay, so there's kind of 6 lines apart from the mean. So that's really important to think about. So when I add 5 to this, I'm going to get 168 here. then I'm going to get 173 and 178. Okay, on the left side of the mean, I'm going to get 158. I'm going to get 153, and I'm going to get 148. Fantastic. So the next step is to figure out part I, which says how many teenagers would have a height between 148 and 178. Well, the first thing you need to think about is that percentage amount, okay, between all of those sections is 99.7% because it's all of them. So I'm going to do 99.7% of, in other words, times 4,000. And when I do that, I'm going to get 3,988. So 3,988 have a height between 148 and 178. And then for part 2 is a bit tricky, but I'm going to say it's approximately equal to, because again 154 is kind of just a little bit to the right of that one, and 172 is again just a little bit in here. So I'm going to actually just take an estimate again, and I'm going to say it's approximately 68%, but I'm actually going to cut it down a bit. So instead of saying 13.5 on either side here, I'm going to say 0.5 off. So I'm just going to say 68 plus, sorry, that should be a plus, 26%, so the two lots of 13, and that's approximately equal to 94%. Okay, how did I know that, you know, the bit in the middle how did I know that the bit in the middle there was 68%? And how did I know that these bits here were 13.5%? Well, I know that from my definition. And these are those definitions. Okay, so you've got your pictures here that show you everything. They show you the breakdowns of the percentages, standard deviations above and below the mean, and what percentages go underneath. Okay, so you need to learn those. Okay, cool. So please make sure that you write down a summary of what you learned, new things, important things that you need to remember for this section. Write down any questions that you came across. Have a look at exercise 1104, have a go at some questions. Again, set out your working how I've shown and mark it. Thanks everybody.